Hey everyone, it's me, Dylan Earth, and today we're going to be talking about Human Design New Year. So, in previous videos, I've discussed how January 1st is not the true New Year in any sense. January 1st, we're in Capricorn, the 10th out of 12 zodiac signs, and we're in the middle of winter at that time. So, this is truly not a new beginning in any way that's tied to the natural world or our biology or the cycles of the seasons. It's arbitrary and it was created, I think, by a church or something a long time ago for personal reasons. So, as we move into the latter half of January, we come to a unique point in the wheel of the year. And in human design, around the 21st to the 22nd of January, the sun moves into the 41st gate. So that's sun in Aquarius in astrology. But the 41st gate is unique in that it is the start codon in the genetic code. There's only one of these. So around January 21st of every year, we hit the start codon for a new cycle. Now, I know this kind of contradicts what I've said about the new year really starting in March, on March 21st, with the spring equinox in Aries, the birth. But if you study cycles, you'll always understand that there's always something before the beginning, right? Before the baby is born, there's a long period of gestation. Now, we could say that the baby was born the second that the sperm went into the egg and fertilized it and life started to grow. And that is definitely a starting point. But the part that we really get to appreciate is when the baby comes out of the womb 9 months later and becomes a person. So when we're thinking about this new year, this human design new year that's on the 21st or 22nd of January usually, I want you to think of the moment of fertilization. So the baby's not born yet. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We don't know if it's talking or anything like that, if it has hair. But with this chart that we look at, when the sun moves into the start codon in our genetic code, because every gate in the wheel of the zodiacal wheel represents a codon in our genetic code. And that's why human design works, because when a planet or a celestial body is in a certain gate, it's activating that gate, which activates a corresponding codon. And those are the genes that activate and make us who we are in our life. That's why we're all different, because there's always different stuff happening in the stars. So anyway, here we are, January 21st, 2021. At about 11:51 a.m. today on the Pacific coast, the sun moved into gate 41. This is a gate that is in the root center. And it says, start a new experience. What does the root want us to do? It wants us to start new things. It wants to fuel a process. So with gate 41 pointing up at the solar plexus, it's saying to us collectively, start a new emotional cycle. Start a new experiential cycle. And that starts with fantasizing. That starts with seeing, oh, what don't we have that we want more of? What are we hungry for? What are we thirsty for? What are we lusting for? What are the desires that we want to meet in this new cycle? And how are we going to do that? Do you want to go on a trip? Do you want to build a house? Do you want to meet the person that's going to be your partner? Do you want to build a business? Do you want to cleanse your body? Do you want to feel more healthy and aligned? Do you want to decondition? Do you want to let go of things that are not truly you? There's lots of options. And we need to sift through our fantasies at this time in order to know which one is going to be the one we launch our energy in the direction of for this cycle. Because the rule of Gate 41 says, sorry, we can't give you all the experiences that you want at once. That wouldn't work. Life wouldn't be very manageable that way. So we have to select which experience are we going to launch forward with this year. Now, just think of this chart like the fertilization moment. So this is when the imprint for the energy of the year itself, the program behind the events of this year, they're all contained in this chart. So the year is run on a program. The program is like a script in a movie. It says who's going to do what, when they're going to do it, what it's going to look like. Gives the directions essentially for what's going to go down. So when we look at this chart, we're going to see how are everyone's minds and bodies and emotions going to be charged for this entire year, and what are the themes that are going to be prevalent and what themes are not going to be prevalent. We can really see it all about how people are going to be thinking, feeling, and taking action in this year of 2021 just by looking at this chart. So right off the bat, we can see that we've got two channels active. We've got the 6124 channel between the mind and the crown, and we've got the 1949 channel between the root and the solar plexus. So this year, we are all going to be actively seeking the truth. This channel was a huge player in 2020 because we had Pluto, which is still there. We had Jupiter, we had Saturn, and soon we'll have Venus all go through this gate in 2020, sitting there for long periods of time, making intermittent connections with gate 24, where Uranus was for most of 2020, and just putting all this pressure on us to figure out what is the truth. What's the truth of us? What's the truth of life? What's the truth about what's happening in the world? The crown center literally is a pressure center that puts pressure on the mind to return to the same ideas and concepts, thinking, until some kind of clarity is reached. So does that mean that we always reach the truth and we always reach clarity? No, barely ever. Most of the time, it's a mad dash to find the truth of that day, just so we can feel like we have some certainty. I know that this certain person is the evil dictator and this other people are the good guys. Now I know where I stand. Oh, next day, it changed. And that's the nature of the mind. It's always looking for certainty. So this year, the collective will be deeply in search of certainty. What were the planets making this connection at this moment of the Human Design New Year? Pluto and the moon, both in line 5. Pluto is that deep, unconscious, subconscious drive to know the truth. It is the deep and unavoidable pressure for us to go towards something that feels like it makes life make sense, that it makes life worth living. And the moon is what makes us feel good from one day to the next. So this year, we're going to have this very intense pressure to find a truth that makes us feel good. But with both Pluto and the moon in the 5th line of their respective gates, the 5th line is a line of projection. there's going to be a lot of projection about what the truth is. So, what is projection? It's where you see something and in your mind, you make up stories about what that is. And then you project your expectations based on what you believe. So, let's say a woman walks into a restaurant. You look up and you see this woman. She's a fifth line person, or she has strong fifth line characteristics. You look at her, you project on her, oh my gosh, that's the love of my life. That is going to be the mother of my kids. That's the one. So you've projected this whole story on this person you don't know because she has this projected quality to her with the fifth line. And you go up to give her your number or whatever. And she's like, oh no, sorry, I'm already married. I have kids. That ship has sailed, but thanks. So with the fifth line, we can believe something that's completely not true is true. And we can go hook, line, and sinker. We can invest in it. We can put money down on it. We can change locations for it. We can start businesses for it. And then we realize, oh, there's nothing practical backing that up. There's nothing rooted in the truth of reality to make that real. And then we have to move on to something else. So this is a really important year not to get lost in the projection of what the truth could be. What is the real truth that's never going to let you down? It's your truth. And your truth is rooted in your physical intelligence, in your body's ability to navigate this life and to take you into the situations that are most correct for you, because your body lives a life and the mind is just the passenger watching the experience. When that passenger starts to backseat drive and try to take over the wheel, that's when we get into places where we end up stuck in bad relationships, doing work that doesn't fulfill us, so on and so forth. So this year, we're all going to be under this pressure to find this larger than life truth that is going to save us from perhaps another state that we don't enjoy as much. So I want you to be extra careful about what truths you invest in this year. Is it just something that your mind finds shiny, exciting, or kind of a good fit for something else that you don't like? Or is it something that your body is saying yes to? Do you have that gut feeling that says, yes, this is where it is. This is where the magic is for me right now? Or is it just another paper tiger? Your body will know, your mind will never know. Don't get deceived by your mind in 2021. So, what else? We have the 1949. This is the channel of synthesis, but it might as well be called the channel of revolution because that's what it does. It provokes us on an emotional level to see where there is a disconnect between how we live in terms of our resources, our food, our money, our relationships, and the principles that govern those factors, those very real factors of life. This is not just, oh, I feel a certain way today, I'm going to revolutionize something. This is physical, tangible stuff. So this whole year, we're going to be under pressure again, because the root is a pressure center, the crown is a pressure center, the ajna and the solar plexus are awareness center. We're going to be under pressure to become aware of what is our real truth and what's not working anymore emotionally. We've also got gate 22 in the solar plexus, which is all about honoring our true feelings and emotions in everything we do, even when it seems inconvenient, unconventional, whatever the case may be. It's about unconditionally loving your emotions. So we're going to be very probably uncomfortably aware of how certain principles regarding our food, our housing, our systems of government, our systems of spirituality and worship, our social and societal and cultural customs, how these things are in opposition to what truly makes us feel good, what truly nurtures us. We've got Uranus and Mars in the gate of nurturing, giving us a high-minded and hands-on approach to fixing corruption in our world. And we're emotionally activated all year to be sensitized to what's no longer working. This is an energy that ratchets up over time. The 1949 is a tribal emotional energy. So it is building and building and building and building over time. All of these little instances, these little cookie crumbs, pieces of data that are building to this bigger crescendo of, oh my gosh, this is totally not working. And what is revolution? Think of the French Revolution. There was an inequity in the way that food and money was being distributed between the monarchy and the peasantry. Those trespasses on essential human rights and dignity that were taking place, where the monarchy was just taking all the food and people were going hungry, ratcheting up, ratcheting up, ratcheting up, all these little offenses until eventually the 49th gate says, no more. And what happened? The guillotine fell. Guillotine, I don't know how to say it, but off with their heads is what happened. And this is emotion. So it's not always clear. It's very seldom clear. It needs time to develop its clarity. So you might see a lot of cognitive dissonance, in a sense, between what our minds are trying to believe is true, or what we're wrapping our minds around as the truth, and what feels right or wrong. We might think one thing is happening and all of a sudden feel that we've been wrong all along and that we were kind of distracted, which is a big theme of the crown center, is distraction. Maybe we were a little distracted about what we thought was the truth, and then when it came full force and we felt it in our bodies, we were like, whoa, no, this isn't going to work. We've got to find a new way. And gate 41 is all about finding that new way. So we also have Saturn in gate 41 at the time of this New Year's moment imprint. So throughout the year, and Saturn is in the third line, the trial and error line. So we're going to be going through a tremendous amount of trial and error when it comes to trying out these new ways of dealing with the awareness of what we see is out of alignment. Because new solutions are going to be needed, but not all of those new solutions are going to be the true solution right off the bat. We're going to have to go through a couple, trials and errors to get there. So Jupiter and Mercury are what is forming this whole channel. That's a very expansive energy. So in a way, I feel that we are going to finally feel our needs on a very deep level. I think one of the biggest ways that things that ultimately are not in our best interest and that provide greater separation from our planet and each other and ultimately divide us, those things can flourish when we don't know our needs. because we don't know, we're ignorant, we're clueless of what we really need. This is a year where we realize in our cells, in our body, in our gut, in our bones, what do we truly need? What do humans truly need right now? And then we will make changes accordingly. So we're going to see a lot of pushing forward, pushing, because pressure centers are activated. We're in a pressure sandwich this year, pushing us towards realization. And realization usually leads to manifestation and action. So, this is a year of revolution. This is a year of revelation. And at the same time, it's going to have a very distinctly different flavor than the Capricornian side of things that we experienced last year. So I do not see this as a time where things will be as dense and destructive. I feel like this is a time where things will change in a more, well, we were in the earth element before, so earth is very gritty and dense. Now we're in the air element going forward. So the changes that we will see and the transformation that will occur and the growth that will happen will be happening through the air element, not the earth element. So we won't have to deal with as much density as we did in Capricorn. But we also may not have as much ability to go deep and deeply change things. Because when you have your hands in the earth, you can really dig down if you need to and get to the foundations and change things on a deep level. With air, it's more about little changes or quantum changes taking effect over everything. So I think this is a year of really owning our quantum power. What is that? That's our ability to change our world based on understanding that every macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm and vice versa. So, what is the macrocosm? The world. What is the microcosm? The individual. So, in this year, we can see that, okay, when we see on a global scale that we need to change, we need a solution to something, how do we go about that? We don't go out there and try and do it. We apply it to the individual first. And if the individual is the quantum unit of this reality, as more individuals adopt a certain new way of doing things or a new solution, whatever that may look like, it takes hold across the planet in a quantum way. Quantum means you don't have to go there and do every single one. You don't have to click every button, because quantum means one impact transfers that change throughout the whole system. So, quick story to help you visualize how this can happen. There is a well-documented experiment called the 100th monkey experiment, and I'm sure many of you have heard of this already, but I think it's quite fascinating. So, at a certain time, there were a group of researchers, I believe in the Thailand side of things, where there's many thousands of small islands. And they were researching these monkeys on these archipelago of islands. Same monkey lived on thousands of different islands separate from each other. So on one island, a particular monkey was seen learning a new skill where it could crack open coconuts with a particular rock. And this created a much more readily available food source for the monkeys. Usually the monkeys could not eat coconuts because they would have to wait for them to rot or crack naturally or whatever. So here and there, but they didn't eat coconuts too often. all of a sudden, this one monkey, and I don't recall if this was a behavior that was taught to the monkey by the researcher or they were just observed, this one monkey was observed doing it spontaneously, but one monkey started doing it. Then a bunch of other monkeys on that island started doing it. Then all of a sudden, within weeks, all of the monkeys on this island, hundreds of monkeys, were doing the same thing. And then the crazy thing happened. The quantum shift happened. Because not just on this one island where these researchers were observing the primates, but every island that these primates lived on in the local area, the monkeys started using the coconut cracking hack. Monkeys that had never met that monkey, that were not in physical contact or communication with the other monkeys whatsoever, same species though, just not together. Boom, 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 boom. They all, across all the islands, started demonstrating this new behavior. So that's really what I see can happen this year, with emphasis on air, Aquarius being an air sign, so many planets in Aquarius right now and will be through February. And this very Aquarian energy of the 1949 being activated throughout the whole year. It's like when enough of us really get down to what we really need and how we can meet those needs as individuals, it's like we share those codes across the cloud. We share those codes across the cloud. And this could be mass awakening of some kind, because we do have the crown, the ajna, as well as the solar plexus. So we're opening our eyes to new truth, perhaps that we never were available for before. We're feeling what's true more than we were before. Maybe there were previous truths that we thought and believed in, but now, because we're more emotionally perceptive, we won't fall for the same things again, because we're not just using our eyes and our ears and our five senses to try and figure things out mentally. We're actually feeling the atomic weight behind something. Does it really have power? Does it really have alignment behind it? Is what this person is saying, is what this article is stating, is what these groups are asking us to do, is it really aligned? Is it really here? Is it really for us? Or does it lack that backbone, that emotion, that holistic vibration? And I think that this is a year where, in a subtle way, because again, we're not crashing and burning like we were in 2020, in a subtle way, there will be just kind of a, no, I don't want to do that. So instead of millions, like revolution, usually what we think of is millions of people take to the streets and picket fence and picket lines and all this stuff. And I think actually this year it will be a quiet revolution. Like, oh, millions of people just stopped buying that thing because they finally felt how toxic it was to their body. Or millions of people started doing this new thing that they never thought was important because they just weren't ready for it yet. They couldn't feel how important it was before, even though other people had been talking about it and sharing it mentally for a long time. This is a moment where a lot of people feel the truth and change accordingly. So, as far as our open centers go, we have an open sacral. So we might have a tendency of doing a little too much. We might be holding on to things this year that keep us feeling safe, even if they're not good for us. We might be trying to prove ourselves this year a little bit, especially with the South Node here in the 26. We could be looking to prove that we have the best new idea or the best new invention or the best new way forward or the best new coaching services or whatever. But, and you might, but that's the South Node. So we're kind of moving away from the big guy, salesman, like infomercial kind of vibe. We're moving into the North Node in the throat. Who really has it? Gate 45 cannot give unless it has. It is the voice that says, I have, dot, dot, dot. It's the king or the queen's voice. And the king or the queen only have as much claim to fame as they have resources to show their power. It's a tribal gate, and the tribe resources are everything, because resources are what allow us to survive ultimately and stay healthy. And that's what the tribe wants. So in this nodal axis of this year, we're going to be letting go of people who say they have the good stuff, but don't actually have it. We're going to be going towards those experts, those kings and queens of their respective kingdoms who actually have true value to offer. So there will be shifting allegiances throughout this year as collectively we seek to evolve through the North Node's capacity to place us with communities and groups that actually have something to offer us, to enhance and increase our individual value and thereby make life better for everyone. But we might not know what to say or where we're going with all of this. And that's okay. You don't need to know every step of the way. You don't even need to pay attention to any of this conditioning themes either, because they're conditioning themes. This is not your chart for 2021. This is the program's chart. The program is going to do what the program is going to do. And if you've watched this long into the video, here's where you get the true nugget of wisdom. Transits don't have to affect you. Transits are to move the world along and to complete the agenda of the program, which is really just to make more human beings and increase the mutative potential of our gene pool. That's all it's about. When you are in tune with your individual design and you know your strategy and authority, and you follow that to stay in alignment through everything, through thick and thin, through every year, through every moment, it doesn't matter what's happening in the stars. You will notice it in your periphery. You will see it in the movie that's playing around you, but it doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to be an obstacle. It doesn't have to bring resistance into your life. And it doesn't have to make you feel like there's something that you have to do just because you're feeling a lot of emotion or a lot of pressure to figure something out. That doesn't mean that that's right for you. That just means that's what's in the air. So keep that in mind this year, that it is a year of perhaps highly charged emotions and strongly held beliefs, opinions, and ideals that may divide people even further or spur great discovery and great revolution. But either way, if you're in alignment with you, it doesn't really matter, because it's all just going to be the background noise to your movie that you are living intentionally every day. Every day is a chance to decondition from what you're not more, and to become more of what you are, and to see more uniquely and deeply this life, this reality, this Maya, this illusion, to think more uniquely, to experience what your mind has to offer when it's not worrying about what the world is doing. You have a unique mind. You came here to think uniquely. What's that like? Well, the answer is on the other side of your deconditioning journey. And you have a unique body with superpowers that you may not even be aware of yet because you haven't tuned into them. So this could be the year that you discover who you truly are. It's definitely in the cards in this chart. So I think that does a good job of communicating what I wanted to share with you today. My name is Dylan Earth. I'm a human design student and teacher with 10 years of experience. I have an upcoming online 3-month course called DNA Alignment Academy. It is a beginning to intermediate human design course that will take you on a journey through your own chart that will also leave you with a fluency and feeling empowered within the human design system as a tool for life. At this time, I still offer individual coaching if that's what you're looking for over longer term periods. And I do readings here and there too. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to use the links in the description box below to get in touch with me and we'll set something up. And for those of you who are excited for better video quality and things of that nature, it's definitely coming. I'm building everything piece by piece, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.